Welcome, friends from all over, friends here in Zoom, friends watching on Facebook, friends who are coming along later in the week and watching the recording. We're so grateful for your presence here today to share your work, to listen, and to be in community with us here today on Cultivating Voices Live Poetry. My name is Kim Ports Parsons, and I'm pinch hitting for Sandy Unone, our beloved friend, host, and fantastic poet, author of Boats for Women and her most recent collection, The Glass Studio. I'm also a poet. Some of you may know my book, which has been out for a couple of years, The Mayapple Forest. And my colleague Don Krieger is here with me, helping to keep everything running smoothly. Thank you again for joining us. We are here today for our wild card open mic for February. I'm sorry, not February, November. And we will be hearing from 12 poets who will read up to 5 minutes each, bringing whatever poems they are ready to share with us today. And then we will go to folks on the waiting list. And if you're just arriving here in Zoom and you'd like to sign up to read a poem on the waiting list, you're very welcome to do so. Simply type your name into the chat. I'll take names for the waiting list for the next 10 or 15 minutes, depending on how we go along here. We are very excited to hear from a variety of folks today on a variety of topics, and we would just ask the poets that if you feel like there's any material that you're going to be sharing that might warrant a content warning for those of us here listening in Zoom and those of us listening out there on Facebook or to the recording, so that if anyone needs to take care of themselves and turn their volume down for that particular topic or subject matter, you're giving them the opportunity to take care of themselves, and we really appreciate that. Similarly, I'd like to say to those of you who are here in Zoom with us, please show your love, appreciation, and camaraderie in the chat. We love here on Cultivating Voices Live Poetry to echo back lines, words, phrases that we enjoy, to offer comments, compliments, you know, all kinds of love to each other as we share our work. At the end of the program, I'll make sure to announce some of the programs that we have coming up. And we hope that you will join us for our new book showcases that we hold the second Sunday of every month, and for our themed open mics that we hold the first Sunday of every month. The theme coming up for next month, in case you'd like to have that rumbling around in your head, is the word wonder, WONDER. Well, without further ado, let's begin. I'm going to, here in Zoom, I'm going to once more share the list that I have so far of readers so you know who's coming up. Because I am hosting today, you're going to see, those of you who are here in Zoom with me, that I'm not able to quite give the same heads up that I do actively when Sandy is hosting. So forgive me for that, but you can scroll back up in your chat and see this list at any time, and I will try occasionally to remind us of where we are in the list. So we're going to go first to Greece. Alexandra Psaropoulou is here, and I believe she has someone. Alexandra, has your friend arrived to also play their instrument?
Oh, I think he couldn't, I don't know, he's having trouble registering, but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Okay. Well, we're really looking forward to hearing from you, and I'll go ahead and mute, and you can get us started.
So thank you. We'll work it out for Christmas. Line 9. My visions are my torture. My visions are my comfort. Turquoise visions, turquoise flying. For those whose hearts are not tired of sowing in the field of dreams. for the journey is bittersweet, half hurt, half tenderness, like thorny milk thistle, like sweet-smelling jasmine, accepting variety and different behaviors, going beyond wrongdoings and right doings, into new and more thriving harvests. My visions are my scrambling ascent. My visions are my sacred conquest. Turquoise visions, turquoise flying. For those whose hearts can admire the phosphorescent hopes of the sunset. For the journey is rugged, half uphill, half downhill. Like bare time in the winter cold, like bees gathering nectar from spring blossoms, evoking the rain's lament and the sun's caress, going beyond unpleasant and pleasant reactions, onto new and even higher peaks. My visions are my futile mirages. My visions are my sweetest oases. I'm sorry, I just realized that you can't see anything, right?
I didn't know whether to.
Yeah, I forgot that Dawn has this system where I have to keep it. I'll continue like this.
We
Would
can
you like?
see.
We have time if you'd like to go back.
I'll
And
continue. I just totally forgot that I shouldn't expand the. You can see it now.
yes, we can see the turquoise visions page now. If
You
you
can. Yeah.
slides,
Okay. I'll continue.
thank you.
For those whose hearts are refreshing fountains of muses' songs. For the journey is uncharted, half tempest, half tranquility, like a wavy turbulent sea on a windy day, like crystal serene waters under the shimmering sun, sailing over low and high tides, going beyond traumatic and fond memories, into new and longed for harbors. My visions are my lightning duty. My visions are my radiant basking. Turquoise visions, turquoise flying. For those whose hearts shine brightly through storms. For the journey is evolving, half empirical, half innate. Seeing what I encounter, seeing what I know. Painting the world in dark and iridescent hues. Going beyond detrimental and beneficial beliefs into new and more exquisite rainbows. Our visions are our unmanifested ashes. Our visions are our golden wings. Golden visions, golden flying. Okay, that was weird. That was half with, half without, half with designs.
Bravo, Alexandra, and
Please
you're.
remind me next time.
I shall. I shall. I was just unsure whether I should or not.
Yes, you should.
I
You
I
should.
was swept up also in the evolving journey of the visual and the beautiful language, sweeping me along. So thank you so much and bravo. And we're off to a beautiful start. If you're just arriving, you're very welcome, everyone. You are on Cultivating Voices Live Poetry. This is our November wildcard open mic. We just heard from Alexandra Psaropoulou, and now we turn to Roger Briggs. Thank you for being here, Roger. We look forward to your share.
Okay, I guess I'm unmuted now, right? Okay, yeah, this is a
a poem that's taken from a popular song by the Eagles called Hotel California. And just with a few modifications, I was able to change it to Hotel America. So here we go. On a dark desert highway, cool wind in my hair, warm smell of colitas rising up through the air. Up ahead in the distance, I saw a shimmering light. My head grew heavy and my sight grew dim. I had to stop for the night. America, there she stood in the doorway. I heard the mission bell, and I was thinking to myself, this could be heaven or this could be hell. Then she lit up a candle and she showed me the way. There were voices down the corridor, and I thought I heard them say, "Welcome to the Hotel America." Such a lovely place, such a lovely place, such a lovely face. Plenty of room at the Hotel America at any time of year, any time of year. You can find it here. Her mind is Tiffany twisted. She's got the Mercedes-Benz. She's got a lot of pretty MAGA boys that she calls friends. How they dance in the courtyard, sweet summer sweet. Some dance to remember, some dance to forget. So I called up the captain. Please bring me my wine. He said, we haven't had that spirit since 1969. And still those voices are calling me from far away. Wake you up in the middle of the night just to hear them say, welcome to the Hotel America. Such a lovely place, such a lovely place, such a lovely face. They're living it up in the Hotel America. What a nice surprise. What a nice surprise. Bring your alibis. Mirrors are on the ceiling, the pink champagne on ice. And she said, we're all just prisoners here of our own device. And the master's chambers, at the master's chambers, they gathered for the feast. They stab at it with their steely knives, but they still can't kill the beast. Last thing I remember, I was running for the door. I had to find the passage back to the place I was before. Relax, said the night man. We're programmed to receive. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. Thank you.
Well, Roger, we're in quite a journey these days, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
For some of us, feels pretty nightmare. So we'll see. We'll see where the journey leads.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being with us and for sharing today. Roger, it's very good to have you, and we hope you'll come back and share again.
You're welcome, and thank you.
We are, if you're just arriving, we have begun our open mic, our wildcard open mic for November. We've heard from our first two readers, and we are now going on to Rich Boucher, I think. Boucher or Boucher? Please correct
Boucher.
me, Rich. Boucher.
Yeah.
Very nice to have you. Welcome, and we look forward to what you're bringing to us today.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate you conducting this in such a professional way. My name is Rich Boucher. I'm a poet from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I try to avoid participating in what is commonly thought of as providing like a content warning. My expectation normally is that grown folks can handle anything because they are grown. But I will say, in lieu of a content warning, just a heads up, I don't hold a lot back in this poem. So I'll just say it in that way. The themes are a bit intense, I guess, is how you might say it. This poem is called Let It Be a Child Who Finds Me. Let it be a child who finds me, lying supine in the leaves about an hour after I've done it. My eyes half lidded, half trained on a glimpse of November sky and the tangle of tan and green poplar limbs above. I want to be a lesson about impermanence this child will never forget. Let it be the sight of life having left me that leaves this child ready to face a world of wonders, clear-headed and correctly jaded, impervious to surprise and delight. And when he sees my body there, let him cry and weep, and then know that it's okay. Let her scream and tremble, and then know that it's okay. It's okay. Everything is okay. Please let this child understand that forever is nothing more than a fairy tale for grown-ups who are terrified of funerals, for men who are haunted by silence, for women who are afraid of the nighttime. Let it be a child who finds me in the center of either September or November, stiff as a board on the ground, with something like a snarl but akin to a grin on my cool, colorless lips. Maybe I just decided I was tired enough to just not eat or sleep anymore, and the overcast gave me permission, and that was where the decision was made. Maybe it was 36 Advil caplets at once, chased with a fifth of rum and a minor seventh. Maybe a Sig Sauer P220 up against the roof of my mouth when the time came with a recognizable signature, the time signature of a song that better not be played on an instrument, the sound hole of a guitar, suddenly animate, human and crying. And the joke of jokes is how quickly the gasp becomes a sob when you know at last that you are the punchline, the Rubik's Cube that explodes in hot slate shrapnel when you solve it. Life is the lifting of the heavy glass lid and lowering the little white shelter kitten's pleading face into a terrarium full of scorpions. If you could hear television static, it would sound like all of us praying, life's lifting the mastiff seal lid and lowering innocent baby God into a terrarium full of boa constrictor, full of slick, pink, wriggling and ravenous lies. Linda's tongue licks teasing circles around Sarah's nipple, slow motion in a scorching hot shower full of red light for just a second in slow motion, and then suddenly the both of them never existed in the first place because you didn't love them enough. Imagination multiplied by hope equals, really, null. And the don't walk sign on the street often seems angry and seems to know that you want to walk, that you need to go somewhere safe. And the sign suddenly reads, so what, instead of don't walk. The yield sign's fluorescent yellow identifies as RAL 1023, but some of us want to be left alone. Learn how to say, am I the only one who's seeing this? In as many languages as you can, together we can solve the problem of happiness. So let it be a child who finds me, a rich child, a poor child, doesn't matter at all. Let it be a child who finds me exactly as I have described here. Still at last, after running in place for no reason at all since childhood, while the planet under the feet keeps running for no reason at all, I want a child to find me like this. If I can only save one person from innocence, let it be. Let me be that putrefaction and promise underneath the leaves swirling in a gentle breeze, in a chill and wordless autumn, a world of mud and jade and muck and damask and Rosetta, cyclamen and sunset and walnut mocha blood spatter and then black and rose and then black darkness, viscous, poured into a bucket of black paint, and you, Greek chorus on the AM band of my inner monologue. You can't change my mind any more than I can now. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. That's a striking last line there. You can't change my mind any more than I can now. Poetry is a change agent, I think, here on Cultivating Voices Live Poetry. And we're so glad to have you all here with us. If you're just joining us, if you're listening online, on Facebook, on our Facebook group page, if you're listening later on this week to the recordings, we are really grateful for those who come to listen and be present be part of the community. If you're just arriving, I will say one more time, last call for anyone who would like to be on the waiting list. Simply type your name into the chat, and we will go now to our next reader. And in a moment or two, I'll close that and not take any more names. So if you are interested in being on the waiting list, please type your name into the chat now. We're going to go to our next reader, David Brydges. We're so glad to have you with us here today, David, and looking forward to whatever you're bringing to the table.
Thank you, Kim, and thank you for wearing multiple hats today. This is a savage satire on the U.S. election and some shady anti-government agitators, characters who are now in huge positions of power as loyalist lemmings about to decapitate democracy. The Satanic Salesman. There are two things that matter in politics. The first is money, and I can't remember the second. Mark Hanna, Republican backroom operator in the late 19th century. Prince of Promises, Pimp of Darkness, Master Stoker of Feeding Fires of Dissent. He's on his political pulpit. Send me your broken souls and empty wallets. I pledge to make America greedy again. Give me your pound of fat flesh, and I will be your sole sugar daddy, stuffing your wallet with greenbacks. I will extend a tax cut, a bigger slices for the rich, so they can, after they buy a new yacht in trickle-down economics tradition, make the working class settle for leftover crumbs from the American pie they baked. In delusional rapture, will they vote for their patriarchal savior, promising to make this all-America pie bigger? What about the SS Brigade? Satan's surrogate servants of servitude. Right fringe kook junior captain conspiracy, who is given a head position in the health portfolio, but wouldn't allow kids to get a vaccine for polio. Ironically, he's going to be needled by the critics to come. Then there is pompous propagandist musketeer, X-Factor media mogul who relies on lies for his profiteering and has turned a once digital public square platform into a partisan prop for the MAGA movement, where a billionaire bromance brewing negates Lincoln's Gettysburg Address when he says, of the people, by the people, for the people. While nepotism's vine lustfully climbs the money mountain, strangling any fair competitors trying to reach the top. The Musk-infused eau d'argent spread its moneyed scent, donating $175 million and paying large numbers of canvassers to help rethrone the King Chaos. God the trickster created a counter angel punch who knows how to box in their rival, someone who fought for justice and righteousness, pledging more joy and optimism to restore hope in these despotic times. She chose not to play the negative dark gloom game, a dark political plague that has infected America. And yet, the money madness circus parked their camp too. $1 billion misspent on celebrity endorsements, including opera and conventional TV ads with dubious effects. So the judgment day has come, when citizens would choose to elect a politician who will make America darker, or elect a politician who would have made America brighter. The ballot box is only one collective voice by the majority. It is democracy in all its dysfunctional and disinformation decadence. Rise above the shadowy future, America, for the fight for the light is not over. Wipe away your bleak tears, roll up your sleeves, and be the change you want. For dreams deferred never die.
Thank you so much, David. Dreams deferred never die. Really appreciate you bringing your voice and your sharp words today, David. If you've just arrived, you're very welcome. You're joining our November wildcard open mic, and we are hearing some wonderful poems today from our members. And we go next to exquisite poet Thomas A. Thomas out in the Pacific Northwest. Welcome, Thomas.
Thank you so much, Kim. I put my author from Moonpath Press link in the chat, but I'm reading poems that are not from the book. On the night the election nightmare was unfolding, I was sitting next to my wife's body, and she had left after 14 years. But this prayer that I wrote shortly before her passing, I think still applies. It's called A Kind of Prayer for My Bedridden Wife, and it's after David White, who wrote our wedding poem. As the 14th year of her disability and 22nd year of our marriage come to their ends, there are some words I say to my bedridden wife each visit, though I cannot say she knows their meaning. Perhaps what we call death is actually more an abrupt waking, I whisper, for which we must all prepare, near comatose or not. I hope that even eyes closed and mouth speechless, you are doing this. After all the years and all the struggle, I want to know that when you are finally tired enough of dying, you'll discover that you want to live on the other side of death, that you may find love on the other side of death, and you shall willingly walk across death's dark territory, no matter how fluid and dangerous it may seem, to find at last that one light that belongs to you. And then something of relief after, at the kitchen sink. Standing close, leaning over the kitchen sink, deep stainless steel, silver, left hand full of asparagus stalks, the right snaps stiff, drippy bases off under almost painfully cold water flow. Starlight in a steel bucket carried over snow at night. Cedar seams split after sunset under porch light with my green maul, sounds of thumps and wood cracking open and shining. when up through the broken off asparagus ribs come the salmon and the bears and the tide pushing the river back up upon itself, and I am on the island again, wondering, oh, where has my fluff poppet got herself to now? And what's become of her? And now what's become of the boy child who picked wild asparagus out somewhere past the silver railroad tracks that ran to the sky? Thank you.
Thomas. Mm. Starlight and a steel bucket. That's a good definition for poetry, isn't it? Beautiful share, Thomas. Thank you so much for
Thank
bringing
you.
your heart and sharing it with us today. Well, we're hearing fantastic poetry from our members here today on our wildcard open mic, and we are coming up on the halfway point of our featured first 12 readers. Our next poet is Marcia Karp. It is a delight and a joy to have you back with us on Cultivating Voices, Marcia, and thank you so much for coming. And
thank you. Well, I'm delighted to be here. Excuse me. And just grateful for all the poems I've heard. I'm going to start with a poem by a poet named David. I'm sorry, my voice is not cooperating. David Ferry, who died a year ago, and this is one of his early poems. A farewell. Let the day fall like light out of the eye. Out of the ear, let its music go. From the touch, let the touching of air retire. Remain in the dark, dumbly remain in the dark. What will they know of you then, or want, when then in the dark you remain? Knowledge began with the pressure of light on the eye, and the ear spun out of thin air its airy tune. Let no vein flutter or flicker to signal the blood's all but imperceptible errand. Does the skin shudder or shiver at all, at least conjugation? Shrink then into your dark, be locked up in yourself, shadow of shadow, be in your nothing dark. Oh, keep to yourself, be close, be moat, be wall, all dark. Hush, here hush, vanish, know nothing. How then will the daylight knock at the lid in vain? And this one is by me, the poet David Ferry. He had both a level broadness across his shoulders and a tallness, so that when he changed his posture in order to lower his gaze, creating the illusion that he was on our level, though he was instead still over our heads, now by some fewer inches, he did so by a torque that raised his right shoulder and lowered his left. It seemed so natural a posture to him, habitual, as if he'd lived long in his full height among people much shorter, among whom his disciplined inclination brought everyone comfort. Being so broad, some part of him was still tall in his torque, though his head was lowered by that kindness of his. That was one kind of talking down to us, but not another. A listener needn't have known of the poet's recent catastrophe, nor have cared a fig for the life of the poet, in order to have trusted what he wrote in his own ways about the mundane, and in the old ways of lives that no one has or could really live, unless it is that the ferryman of metaphor can, and alone, from the jealous belly of time return and return us, our mutilations now staunched, for the moment, to any life whatsoever. So when the poet brought over for us that old story of how Hades wedded his own seasonal grief on the moment of another's, because this time art came hard and perfected on the heels of sorrow, we too fell for a moment for the ruse. But that infallible assayer was only setting his gold to spin for the dizzying pleasure of pain. He had to have known. He knew the terms were all his, that no husband who loved could but twist back and down toward the wife he held on to tight, could but, for a second of comfort, become the last death she suffered. So then, when the gold on Mr. Ferry's finger came forward as he accommodated to us by his diagonal bow, even those who had had no clue must have realized that the ring told the life in the song that was just then not an old one at all, for it looked for all the world like the mouth of Orpheus, still in its no, or like the bewildered path worn smooth by a dog in its faithful circle on the trail for the scent of his mistress. Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely mesmerizing work. So grateful for you to have joined us today and brought that set of poems with to share with us today. We are enjoying, we're about halfway through the first 12 readers in our wildcard open mic for November. And we're grateful for all who are here in community with us to hear and be moved by poetry. We go now to our Cohen in Israel. Sandy and I say that Isaac is a peace ambassador. So Isaac, we're very glad to have you with us.
Dear Kim, dear Don, dear all my friends. Isaac Cohen, the signing of peace. I saw a child walking by the river. A fire sparkled in front of him. The child begged the sun, please put out the fire. The sun said, take in your mouth water from the river and extinguish the fire. Peace shone in the sky. And the second. Isaac Cohen. Peace. A shell fell in the field. The flower lowered her head. A minute later, she lifted her head again. She saw a baby and wanted to give it up. Her toe stopped more shells from coming. Peace arrived happily. The church. My special dream, as it called. A little child, type light of culture. A bird called him to get up to an enlightened world. A pink horizon is visible and draws all the children in the world. All is honest. All is perfect. No worst are in the world. Bright light. And the last, the last small, hi, Cohen, my dream, like Martin Luther King, and I am the ambassador of the peace. I woke up in exalted day. People floating in space. The earth does not belong to anyone. A pink horizon brushes the world. No guns, no rockets. Roses of peace wrap mother's face. A little child flies with his hope. You can see it and sense it. Dream. Thank you, Kim, and thank you, Dawn, and thank you, all my friends. And I hope the peace will come soon. That's all. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac. I can't think of a better wish. Thank you for sharing your words of peace. The earth does not belong to anyone. Thank you. We are moving now from Israel to, I think, New York, Mona Zamfirescu. Is that right? Are you coming to us from New York today?
Close, from New Jersey.
From New Jersey.
Yeah, from
Okay.
the state of the forest fires.
Yeah,
Unfortunately. I have two poems for today. First one is Body Gazal. The feet on the ground at the very edge of the body, every blade of grass against the soles. Yes, the body can feel the earth rise in fluid power through the calves, now solid and tangible, taut under the skin. Undress the body of preconceptions. Feel the knees unbuckled and released. Feel the winds between the thighs caress the body. The pelvis drips of generations yet to come or not. The root energies of life and death oppress the body. Feel its power center rise and fall with each breath and pulse to synchronize the sun, the moon, and bless the body. In the center of the chest, alive the drum of war and peace, the best of days, the worst of days, transgress the body. Feel the arms quiet, the weapons and crosses laid aside, the palms and fingers held loosely on the chest. The body is ready to release its prayer, not in words, but in surrender. Eyes closed over the burdens and the rest. The body cries for folly and anything it can't possess. You breathe in these words and say, my name is everybody. And the second poem is called The Work. Unfinished thoughts pierce the air like leaves mid-fall. golden and ready and released. I shake my head, the body follows. Tell it obliquely, never completely, say those who know not to hurry. The pile gathers behind the house, the yard clear for one moment, singular and green. Breathe in. Now filled again with golden glory. Depleted, I question the ferocity of the compulsion to make it clean. The clothesline packed and ready, wildly stretched sails of a ship still long ways from safe harbor. Here, openly, I question my departures. I have arrived, I know, like the wind. Yes, how it dries us all. Deliberations folded, stacked, and put away, clean for one moment, singular and white. Breathe out. In a blink of an eye, another load, the fluttering of colored linens refills the autumn sky with elemental pleas. Deer have rested under my trees, their pellet trail a gift, though I don't know it as I clean. They will return just like the maple and the red oak, only much sooner, with quiet eyes and undisturbed, like everything on earth I step on. And I do, yes, I do it again. I do it all. Never completely untangled, the hold no weight. Those who know no haste, tell its land. Breathe in the wind. Thank you.
Mona, so lovely to hear from you today. And it's always fun to work on a ghazal, isn't it? Yeah. Thank you so much, Mona. And we are moving along now to the last 4 readers in our featured readers. And then we'll move on to our waiting list. And I think we'll have plenty of time for everyone to share. So let's go to Dianne Knox.
Hi. This first one is called Banned Book Bonus. It's a found poem. It was from a yellow Post-it note in Genderqueer at the Clallam County Library. Hello there. Heart emoji here. I'm 35 and non-binary. I saw so much of myself and my experiences in this book. It was incredible. If you're also reading this to see yourself, know we're here and I love you. You're amazing. If you're reading this to understand, please know we're here in your community. We're not a new thing. Please be kind. And my response, I'm an age that ends in 5 and cisgender. I saw so much of you and your experiences in this book. You are incredible. I read this to see you, let you know I'm here and I love you. You are amazing. I read this to understand. Please know we are here for you in your community. Some of us have always been here for you. Kindness cannot be banned. Thank you. Little lighter is best compliment. I don't think of myself as good in the kitchen. So when you tell me my salmon spread is the best you've eaten, or that my ribs are tender and delicious, or my lefse tastes as good as my mom's, I really don't believe you. But if I consider the feeling I put into each stir of the spoon and the thoughts of you pressed into each ingredient. I realize you are tasting my heart. Thank you.
Bravo. I'm telling you, poets, you're bringing the love today. And I am here for it. Thank you, Dianne. Read banned books. Read banned books. Give them as gifts. Leave them in little free libraries everywhere. Thank you for the great pair of poems, Dianne. And next we are going to Clive. Clive, I need help with your last name. I want to say Oseman. Is that correct?
Yeah, Oseman, yeah.
Oseman, you're so welcome. This is your first time reading with us here today.
It is, yes, yes.
Well, thank you for coming, and we're all looking forward to it.
I'll see if you agree. I'll see if you repeat that statement at the end. Now for something completely different, as they say. I'm going to do two. The first one is called What Time Is It? I wrote this poem in the future. Of course, it wasn't the future at the time. It was the present. A different present to the present, obviously, but the present nonetheless. It quickly became the past, but now it's the future because I came back to the present. Or is it the past? I don't know. My brain can't cope with philosophy. My friends think I'm a rather inferior reincarnation of an 18th century German philosopher. They all say I'm a stupid Kant. But I went back to 1752 to meet Immanuel Kant. He didn't understand the 24-hour clock, so he didn't turn up. But enough of that. You don't want to listen to me rambling on about failed missions in my past, which I hasten to add were once the future. You want to know where I've been recently? Well, I did my shopping in Walmart, put it all in the freezer, then I went into town to get my eyes tested. I may have seen the future, but I didn't see that stupid lamppost outside Walmart. So I thought it was time to get my eyes tested. Once I had recovered from the concussion, of course. So you want to know in what year I wrote this poem, don't you? I can't tell you. But I can tell you it was before badgers learnt to play the guitar, but after the great Budgerigar uprising that led to all budgies getting the vote. Pandas were having wild orgies, and this poem had failed to be published. 46 submissions, 2 polite rejections, and a go away you weirdo, or something like that. Nothing changes. But there I go again, talking in the past tense about things that haven't happened yet. I'll never understand time. I'm not sure it exists at all. See you last Tuesday. And look upon this poem as a gift, a present in the present from the future present, or the past future present, or something. Then I went to lie down in a dark room. So that's the first one, a bit different, and the second one's even more different. The story behind this poem is that when I went to write it, what I didn't realise, I live in a flat on my own, and obviously when I go out, I lock the windows and the doors and everything, but somehow somebody crept into my flat and swapped the letters around on my keyboard, so they put the P where the F should be and the F where the P should be. And I didn't realise, and I just typed away, and I was sort of on my way to an event. I thought, I better read this through just to make sure, I can perform it properly. And to my horror, I realised what had happened, but it was too late. So I was stuck with this. It's called When F and P Change Places. This poem, if that's what it is about nothing in particular, just various bits and pieces. I don't like to start with politics, a peeled pull of fistfots and fanatics who couldn't organise a fiss-off in a brewery, and in the case of UK immigration policy, responsible for plenty of fatalities. Though I'm sure they will be reported favourably by Fox News and its British equivalent GB News with Nigel Parridge and his friends. So let's be more pliffant and talk about sports FIFA like Feet Sampras, famous FIFA from the fast like Napoleon Bonaparte, or even contemporary FIFA like the unfortunately not yet dearly departed Piers Morgan, or Katie Hopkins, who always seems like she's paused a pineapple off her bum. Yeah? Okay, let's talk music. You may have an eclectic taste ranging from the poo piters through offerers like the Magic Flute, old British hits like XTC's Making Flans, Pung Idle, I'd poison them, wartime classics like Thack Off Your Troubles, Beatles classics like I Peel Pine, festive songs like A Partridge in a Pear Tree, or even some frog rock. I wish I was musical. I'd go on tour entertaining the pea-fang public in places like Finland, Portugal, France, and probably New Poundland. But enough of that. Let's talk food. I'm not sure what to eat today, roast fork and applesauce or fish and chips. And if fish and chips, do I have pickled onions or mushy peas? Or do I have a fucker steak and kidney pie? I'm not saying I eat too much food that's unhealthy and patterning, but my clothes are size trifle XL. Fita fifer, ficta fick up, fickle fick. What? Plagiarism? Fuck up. Or I'll punch your lights out. Oh, appended are we? I pray you don't call the felice, the coffers, the pilth, the figs, the pus. Fuck the felice. Oh, come on, I was joking. I wouldn't really punch you. I don't approve of fisticuffs or violence of any kind. I'm a fussy pissed. My house has patio doors. It's a big house. It's rather palatial, with a games room per fool and fing fong. Okay, I'm taking the fist. I live in a folky little plat or apartment if you prefer among the pheasants. And I'm probably stuck here until the Grim Reaper comes calling. Whatever a reefer is, I mean, I wouldn't go. Thank you. I did say it was completely different.
Oh, thank you for bringing the humor. Thank you for bringing the humor. It's good to laugh and so well read. So well read. Just delivered straight on.
That takes a
Yeah.
lot of practice.
Yeah, I imagine so, sticking with your own joke there, all the way through. Really fun. Okay, folks, well, we're coming near to the end of our first 12 readers. We're going to hear from Nayma Chamchoun and then Patricia Clark, and then we will go to our waiting list, one poem each, everyone. So let's hear from Nayma. And Nayma, please say your name for me when you come on so I can get it correct next time.
It's Nayma Chamchoun. Again, I'm going to share just one piece. No filter. This is me. Here I sit, growing into my age jacket, accepting my invisibility, rebuking my fragility. Am I irrelevant? Wearing my wrinkles as a sackcloth and ashes? Should I reinvent myself for the applause of the social media masses? Twits, twittering on Twitter, showcasing shells on Insta, scrolling and trolling, perfecting personas on FB, photoshopping Melly, a veil of airbrush sadness. I need more because I am less, filtering faces, subsisting on praises, captive in light cages. The eyes that don't see me, the ears that don't hear me. Should I put on my filter and dance to the hollow beat of a digital trance? A pound of flesh under the knife, erasing evidence of a lived life, fattening up my lips and arse, a fatted calf, as a stranger berates me in the looking glass. Are my eyebrows on fleek? Am I scathingly savage? Enough Am I too woke or not enough? I log in and await your critique. Let's celebrate the cover, not the book. Post a pic as the panel rates you. Have an opinion and we hate you. Immersing ourselves in the virtual brook. I have wandered the London streets, donning my expiry as an invisibility cloak, as the gaze of the lit quickly retreats before dissolving into the city's big smoke. I have sat with Eliot as we shared despair. After shop-worn, shared niceties over tea and cakes and ices, exchanging troughs and peaks as we laughed and cried, bitching with Bukowski, waving to Sylvia as we died inside. Empty voices filling the space with speech, their flawless faces behind the screen. Me out of touch, them out of reach. Where reality in the virtual scheme. I have haunted the void in between. Should I question the truth whilst believing the lie? The hordes flock to TikTok, famous for 15 minutes. To shock, to rock, to mock, to exhibit without limit. But I'm old, and the light in their eyes has died. Thank you.
Thank you, Nayma, for that incredible exploration of digital world, internet world, the interwebs. Really, really mesmerizing to listen to the way you read that poem as well. Thank you so much for coming, and hope you'll join us and read with us again.
Thank you.
We're going now to Patricia Clark. We're so happy to have you here with us today, Patricia. And then we'll go on to our waiting list, folks, and you all will be able to share one poem each as time allows. I hope we have time for each of you. It's great to hear you today, Patricia. Please unmute first and start again for us.
Hi, thank you, Kim. This has been wonderful. As everyone has said, you've organized it well, and you do a lovely, graceful job of introducing everyone. And Nayma, that was incredible. I love your dramatic presentation. I hate to follow you, but I'll have to do my best. That was wonderful. And I loved hearing all those poets' names, and I could hear a few rhymes that sounded just like T.S. Eliot. So good for you. Good on ya. I'm going to read two. The first one, it's odd how how poems begin. And I don't think I've ever had a poem that started this way, because one of my sisters was doing some family genealogy and found an address that she thinks my parents lived at years ago in Winchester, Massachusetts, called the address was 36 Myopia Road, and the name just really killed me. I thought it was really funny to call a street Myopia. So I just kind of invented, this is kind of atypical for me. It's called 36 Myopia Road for the house where I might have grown up in Winchester, Massachusetts. I cannot see past the houses lining this street. Next door is 34, and across the street are odd numbers. Overhead, pelicans fly in search of seawater and fish. Or do I mean chimneys and storks? An hour to Marblehead Lighthouse, a house on the corner with a wide porch finally sold. I imagined our family there in future years. A redheaded girl named Ruth never went to school, always playing hopscotch. I think of her as one-legged and blind. A few houses wore rumors floating in air around them. Someone said a cardboard box of puppies had been buried alive. A boy heard them whimpering all night under fir trees that sighed. Next day, there wasn't a sign or any proof. When my people left for the West Coast, an egg in my mother's belly started to grow into me. I can see the family sleeping in fields as they cross North and South Dakota. Ripe apricots filched from trees, field corn to break teeth on, tomatoes, cukes. Settling into the Puget Sound salt air, they awaited my birth like the Messiah. Stars aligned, and magi came on horse and camelback. Once a blue and white parakeet appeared in a pine tree. My mother tried to catch it, and then I was born. I was afraid of deadly nightshade berries, Atropa belladonna, plump in the bushes in a border near our house. Pretending to eat them, we'd gag, falling dead. We played rock school on the porch steps, banishing the witch, kickball in the street. Dusk coming down always made it look like home. And I should have said that my family, after 3 children, they made an epic journey to Washington. I was the first child of 8 born out there. And so I kind of imagined this whole trip, and I like thinking of myself as the Messiah. I think I can do that in a poem. And then this one's a little bit darker. It's called The Wind Phone. In the wrecked landscape of Fukushima, a white telephone booth shines with many panes of glass in the hinge door, and a man steps in, dials the cell number of his wife's phone, of course unanswering. She was swept away in the tsunami. A photo in the paper shows her sitting outside on a blanket, knees up, rocking back in laughter. I pick up the black receiver, still warm from his hand, dialing my sister's number I used to know by heart. No answer from the sea or her, just the whirling sound of blood pounding in my ear. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patricia. Just the whirling sound of blood pounding in my ear. Another good definition of a poem today.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys are bringing it, and I'm here for it. And I hope all of you are enjoying yourselves very much as we listen to the Wildcard Open Mic today. We're moving on to our folks on the waiting list. 1 poem each, please. And we'll start with our first person, Richard Spisak. Spisak, is that correct?
By gum, you've got it. Thank you so
Great.
much. I want to thank all the wonderful poets. Your hosting has been marvelous. I'm afraid with only one, I'm going to have to be mildly pessimistic. It's a bit ironic and sarcastic. It's called Turning in Your Neighbors. Harsh enough? Starch the cuffs. I sort of like their sofa, like their cars and stuff. Turn them in by lunchtime, grab their favorite chair. They'll be cleared out by 11, and they'll just be cluttering up the jail. Repudiating humanism, it's a mechanistic age, with compulsory church attendance, public prayers now all the rage. Everyone wears their AI watcher. Don't leave home without it, Nacho. Even at the bedtime, be no more a whisperer, and you better shout about it because your battery's all charged up. It's only a misdemeanor, but don't doubt it. But if you're caught without it, oh my dear, you'll learn what it's like when your ears and fingertips will surely feel the burn. When your street block captain checks your record out online, and if you've watched Refuse to Shine, you'll be emailed a big, hefty fine. No more lawn boys at the neighbor's gardening done by white folks, by prison labor. All those teachers and professors, no more highfalutin men of letters, no more at college and university. There no more think our betters. We emptied them out, we ain't got no more need. All the doctors work for insurance, so if you're poor, you'll need endurance. The whole thing now runs on greed. I turned in all my neighbors, they were a suspicious lot, and when they left, we rounded up all the things they bought. We got great employment surges. It's now centered in a few select and favorite churches. Everyone must sign up for compulsory attendance. No more private morality. You'll never more be friendless. And when the churchy state rightward lurches, you'll see attendance kept at churches. And when the church enforcers at the door hand out the new commandments, you better hope he signs your churchy list attendance. So many hours of prayer each day, you better get your card stamped by the neighbor anyway. You'll have to buy the leader's picture. It's mandatory now, or else you'll get the lecture. They'll be downloading your prayer history. How fervent are your studies of the latest revision of the sacred Trumptatious mysteries? And after they rounded up the brown ones and all the political media clown ones, the Dems were next, then the rhinos hexed, and into the gulags the profound ones may just have their collars stretched. Those college professors were gathered to stand before the state confessors. Each classroom has its Bible belt, and should you, without your homework, be caught, only if you offer a hefty bribe will you be able to go safely back to your tribe. Schools now renounce formal learning. Didn't you smell all those books a burning? Not much left for the discerning student, but carrying books for study just isn't prudent. Best to be an athlete now. Those art and music classes are now long lost and over. Boy, and how idiocracy is the new ideal. No more transgender surgery. That was never real. No more punishment for perjury. No more stool pigeons with a big reveal. All the January 6th prisoners have been knighted. All those chloral hoodlums have been delighted. And once a year they climb the dome to remind us all that Donnie's home.
Wow. Tell it, Richard.
I would have done a positive one after it, but that's life. C'est la vie.
Well,
c'est la guerre.
thanks for bringing it. Thanks for bringing it, Richard. Okay, folks, well, we're going to go right along so we can hear some more of our waiting list readers. Kate Wegrzyn, our dear Kate, you are here and we are ready to listen.
Thank you. Can you put me up on the big screen? I want to show something. I want to put something up. No?
You're up. You're up, Kate. Go ahead.
Okay, you can see it now. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, no? Okay. I don't think you could see it. Okay. Anyway, so this is something that I wrote, and it's a memory from 20 years ago, and I'll put it up on where I'm up if it can be seen. It's all scratch paper. So sometimes going back to a memory is difficult. So I wrote this 2 years ago, and I haven't read it anywhere. So I found it, and I thought I'd share it. Okay. Cold winter lands are laden with snow. Winds are stronger, blowing cold. Battened down, prairie fields and grasses, trees stark silhouettes. And now bare, sentient across the winter sky. Her roots provide abundant shelter, home for burrowing critters and birds and insects. Word of mouth spread the invitation. Guests came to arrive for the potluck, the solstice gathering, offering aromas of roasted turkey and simmering venison stew. Aromatic, oh, beautiful. Everyone found their comfort place for sharing, for serving, enjoying each other. Directing friends when they arrived, keep your coats on, your winter garb, to head out back for a sharing of words after our meal. A large canvas tent, securely set, a pot-belly stove warms those entering. Wooden benches surrounded the tent, bundles of blankets, extra chairs, standing room only. The exchange of stories, thoughts, near and far, some sing a song, recite a poem from the heart. Tradition of tying the sheaths of wheat with berries to the fence for the birds of flight. The evergreen tree symbolizes the hope, awakening of spring. We cull a small tree and decorate it, adorned with decorations and trimmed with lights. Oh, 20 years ago, there was lots of love and delight. Thank you. Scraps of paper.
Thank you, Kate. With you, there is always lots of love and delight, my friend. Thank you for being here and sharing that. I love those scraps you found of delight. Okay, folks, let's see who's next. We have Linette Rabsatt. Welcome aboard, and we're looking forward to hearing you.
Thank you. My name is Linette, and I'm from the Virgin Islands. This poem is called Roots to Roots. I stretch from roots to roots, learning, growing, and evolving from the tiny child filled with promise, lovingly nurtured, fine and polished, to a hopeful dreamer, thirsty for knowledge, with big dreams of heading to college, only to find out that I had disconnected roots in a family circle of thousands. Yet I remained the only one on this island. Maybe my roots were broken, and I felt more like a stone with no evidence of moss, and my root continued grown and still lost. Some roots grew, but the journey was topsy-turvy, never feeling like I belonged, and I ran from arm to arm, searching for love to plant my own seeds. Yet the root was filled with weeds, and I got more distracted along the way. I honestly tried to plant my feet, but albeit it wasn't meant to be. So I found my way back to where I was polished, dreaming and thirsty for knowledge, and realized that I was the seed, and I needed to love me to be able to produce a harvest that would build a legacy. So my roots were strengthened on a root to understand myself. Poem. Thank you.
I love that line, Linette. I realized that I was the seed. Lovely. Thank you so much, and I hope you'll come back and read with us again. Okay, we are, I am going to need help with this name. I'm sorry. This is another new friend here today. Eelka Lampe?
Yeah, Eelka Lampe.
Lampe.
Yeah.
You're very welcome. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to hearing your contribution.
Thank you so much, Kim. This one was published in Moonstone's 28th annual Poetry Inc. anthology that came out in October, I believe. On the road to Salt Creek Beach, the tall Douglas fir, as if shaven on one side, except for the top, like an arrow, alarming whom, about what? Then I find it on the beach, gazillion tiny strips of white plastic, 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 regurgitated from the ocean. Small persistent warning flags for those who care to notice. Thank you.
You are talking about a subject very close to my heart. That really stands out for me. Plastic, plastic, plastic. Thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing. We have time for two more folks to wrap up our reading today. We're going to squeeze Cynthia Pratt in at the end, and next we're going to Corine Demas. Please correct me if I've said your name incorrectly, Corine.
My name is Corine Demas. It used to have an R in it a long time ago. I'm really happy to be here with you folks, coming from Edmonton, Alberta, where we're having a beautiful day. And because other people were bringing the love, I'm going to do a love poem. It's about a woman who's fallen so deeply in love, she's scared she's going to lose herself. This is called Fear of Love. Lover, you cover me in my gray chair with a red blanket, and I fall into a fitful sleep. I dream of you. You're a snake in my bed. I sense you nearing, coming right for me. I go fetal, cover my breasts with my blanket. I am scared to touch you, scared to be touched by you, scared of how you will feel. But you weave your way around my leg and teach me to like your cold skin and to joy in the speed with which I cool to you. Your scales feel rough against my thigh, and with your slither from my hip to my elbow to my shoulder, I relaxed. Your in my ear is enough to quiet the city of thoughts in my mind. Turn down the bebop. Your on my neck as you shake your rattle over my navel, wakes my skin in such a way that I feel not only your skin, but my own alive again. And the fine hair that populates the landscape of my body rises up to you in the pregnant moment before you swallow me whole. Thank you.
Wow, what a closing image. Thank you, Corine, for joining us today and for sharing. And so much great poetry. Cynthia, we are glad we can fit you in for one last poem in our wild card open mic today. And after Cynthia, we'll come back for some applause and some announcements before we close. Thanks for staying with us, everyone, and listening, and welcome, Cynthia.
Thank you for squeezing me in. I'm reading a short poem, hopefully humorous, because I think we need humor as much as possible in this day and age. Loving cashews. I skip nuts to appease my body, knowing I will seize up a twisted Band-Aid, unable to straighten out, double like a stepped-on soft drink can. She caused in sorrow, I mean me, of course, but it's easier to try to put me somewhere else, a sad cash hues of a person waving the intestine out into space unattached to this person who wants so much to gorge on their mushy, salty crunch. Those nuts I love don't love me back. And here's what I will tell you. I do not forgive you for eating them in front of me. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. I do not forgive you for eating them in front of me. Such a fun piece to end on. Everyone, I would like us to please unmute for a moment and give each other bravas and huzzas and vigorous clapping. Excellent job.
Yeah, great reading, Cynthia.
It was good to hear you all today. Well done.
Wonderful.
Great show.
I'm so grateful for all of you who have joined us today to share, to listen, to be in community. And I'm going to take a few moments for a few announcements and to close us out. Looking ahead, we have a break in programs for the last Sunday of the month, November 24th. Then we head into December with a fantastic themed open mic. Poets Focus, wonder is our word, WONDER. We hope you will bring your wondrous poems to share. And on December 8th, we will have an amazing, stellar new book showcase with Rachel Hegarty from Ireland, Sophie Cabot-Black, Kai Coggan, and Marie Howell, a living treasure in our country.
What's the date again?
They are in the chat. December 1st is the Poets Focus, and December 8th is the new books showcase. Thank you, Don, so much for keeping us technically going today and for all you do to keep us running smoothly. Thank you to our beloved Sandy Yanone, who is not here with us today, but who hosts us with such love and energy every week, who will be back for our December programs. We're with you, sister, in heart, even when you're not here, and in spirit, even when you're not here. And Sandy, a good long time ago, gave me a heart like hers to share. Everyone take very good care of yourselves. Take very good care of all of your beloveds. And as Sandy always says, please, you must keep writing your miraculous poems. Peace, love, and poetry to all of you, everyone.